So, of course, we have our very next speaker, and bringing up the screen, we have the next speaker. You're doing a wonderful job. Can we give Lily a huge round of applause? I now have a left hand because of you. Thank you. So, our next talk is Peaks and Valleys of Sleep by Catherine Hindmarsh. Can we create a huge round of applause for Catherine?
Hello everybody, thank you very much for supporting us in our journey of our speeches. You've been such a wonderful audience this evening. I'm going to call on you later in my speech to just get a little playful with me, and I hope that you will. So the message that I wanted to deliver today is all about the peaks and valleys of sleep. As you all know, we all go through many cycles of sleep throughout the night. We actually have 4 cycles of sleep that we go through, like peaks and valleys. Throughout the night, we go in and out and in and out. And these 4 peaks and valleys of sleep are very important to our body being able to function, our brain being able to process all the information that it needs to, our muscles to fire off just the way they're supposed to. But I want to ask you something. Who here has ever had an awful night's sleep? It's something we can all relate to. So me personally, I did shift work for many years, and this shift work often involved me having horrible sleep. Not only did it involve me having horrible sleep, but it involved the lady that I used to support. She had a terrible time with sleep. So terrible, in fact, that often she wouldn't sleep for 48 hours straight. And her body and her brain was so exhausted that she would sleep for 24 to 48 hour blocks. Can you imagine if that happened to you? How would it feel? How would you feel? How would you function? Would you be happy and bright and bubbly and responsive to everybody? I don't think so. Like her, I was often cranky and tired and had these bags under my eyes, and I was just constantly exhausted. Why? Because my brain and my body and my muscles weren't getting what they needed to every single day. And the dangers of this is that it can actually cause mental illness such as depression, anxiety, and Alzheimer's disease. And something that we've spoken about tonight, which I can assure you is becoming, I guess, a common theme, is our addiction to technology. And the fact that we often sleep with our phone next to our bed. Now, I'm not going to ask who of you does that, because I'm sure many of you do. I know I do. I'm guilty of it. But I've started turning my phone onto airplane mode, because it was suggested to me that that's a good way to shut things down and not have any of the electricity functions going on while you sleep. But something that we do with technology is we've become so stimulus response to ting, ting, ting. And we have to look at our phone and go, oh, who messaged me? Oh, what happened on Facebook? Oh, I just have to check that email just before I go to sleep. We are so addicted to social media, television, falling asleep with the TV on. Just have to watch that last episode of Game of Thrones before I go to sleep. And then we often look at the time and realize that it's 12 o'clock or 1 o'clock in the morning or whatever the time is. We're not getting our proper sleep because we're not managing our social media use. And what about that is so dangerous, besides causing Alzheimer's disease, depression in our children, anxiety, and huge amounts of stresses in our body, all because we have a fear of missing out now, that it's actually creating brain plaque. And I'll use my fabulous clicker over here if you don't mind. I've got a picture of brain plaque and what it actually looks like. These are beta amyloids. These little orange parts in your brain. They are one of the things that happen when you get Alzheimer's disease. And they are blocking our synapses and our signals that helps our brain function at a healthy level. And this isn't just happening to older people, this is happening to us. If we don't get more than 6 hours of sleep a night, we are increasing our risk of having a stroke 4 times. Now, many of you are mothers. I myself am not as of yet. But I can understand that sleep is a valuable commodity to you. And then you add social media on top of that and our use of technology and not being able to switch off. And what we are doing to ourselves is we are making ourselves sick. We are causing ourselves harm. We are not allowing ourselves to go through those peaks and valleys of sleep that we need to for our brain to be able to function at a normal, healthy level. And if we don't start managing our social media use, we are passing on this habit to our children and to our children's children. And how would you feel knowing that you were part of the problem if your child or your grandchild ever ended up with Alzheimer's disease? What would that feel like? But in saying that, there are things that we can do to manage our social media. We can stop. We can turn off all technology an hour before we go to bed, which is what the scientists are recommending that we do, and actually learn to connect again, learn to interact. Read a book. There's so many values in books. There's so much amazing potential that people have spent thousands of hours researching and writing and reading, just like Rick has with many of his books. Over the week, he's told us the amount of work that goes into putting one of those books together. And then often how much he has to condense his book so it doesn't actually get to the point that people are going to be so overwhelmed by a book this size. People are passionate about what they have to share, and yet we're choosing to go on Facebook to see what the Kardashians are wearing, or on Game of Thrones who Jon Snow is going to kill. I personally never got into Game of Thrones, but I understand how people are going. We're so addicted to having things instantly that we're harming ourselves. And does that really make you feel like you're powerful, like you're strong, like you're in control? To know that we are causing ourselves depression and anxiety and Alzheimer's disease? Or does it make you feel weak? Does it make you feel like we are not looking after ourselves? Which is so important. Now, something else that I'd like you to do, and as I said, I hope you will participate with me in this, something called progressive relaxation. Now, this is a self-help tool that you can do before you go to sleep. So if I could just ask everybody to close their eyes and get into a comfortable position. I'm just going to give you an example of what that feels like. So I just want everybody to get a sense of how they feel, just how your chair feels. Notice your breathing. Are you breathing shallow? Are you breathing deep? And then I want you just to wiggle your toes. Wiggle your toes in your shoes. Nobody can see you, don't worry. And I just want you to relax and take a nice, deep breath. And as you do, allow that feeling to travel all the way up your legs, letting any tension go. Notice what you notice, how you feel, what you see, the noises in the room. And just allow yourself to drift off to that very special place that's all yours, because this is your time. And I want you just to allow that feeling to travel up through your stomach. And if you feel the need to adjust in your chair to get more comfortable, you can do that at any time. And with every breath that you take, your body goes deeper and deeper into relaxation. And as that feeling travels down your arms all the way to your fingertips, all the tension just seems to be melting away so easily, so naturally. Because your body knows that this is what's good for you. This is what we need. And as you allow that feeling to come all the way to the very top of your head, that's it. Just take one last nice deep breath and just enjoy that feeling of relaxation. No tension, no stress, just being calm. And when you're ready, I want you to open your eyes, feeling fully awake, fully alert. If you need to, wiggle your toes around, feel yourself coming back to the room. For any of you who aren't familiar, that's what we call going into trance. Anytime you go into relaxation, you put your body in a state of trance. So I hope what I've given you today can help you relax. You now know the dangers of what social media can do, and I hope that it helps you. Thank you for being such a wonderful audience. Really appreciate it, and have a lovely night.